intensification of stopping humans from all dying.
Why does it mean that you said organizations are invaluable?
Well, yeah, like the one you see, like, I can show you all the link arguments you made. First is that your preservation of like.
You talked about organisms for 8 minutes. You talked about humans for 8 minutes. Why does that mean that you're in K?
Yes, because I know you're going to say this, like, no, we don't kill all of the diseases we talk about, we just keep them from killing humans. Arguing that preservation is a form of
stuff. I'm just asking why not mentioning organisms means that we think they're
It's not not mentioning organisms, it's a question of you keeping those organisms in a state of subordination. Like the entire way he talks about, yes, by saying we don't kill all diseases, but we keep them from killing humanity, it requires a subordination to the diseases. Vaccines require slaughtering thousands of them, yeah, but humanity has done far more to them than we've done to us.
It's going to be Topicality. The cards are on here. They're called like 1NR cards. Alright, everybody ready?
Oh, one second.
Right. Right. Extend our interpretation. Economic engagement must be conditional. This involves engaging in a negotiation process to involve the leveraging sticks from character. This critical distinction from the crux of their often extend our violation. The affirmative isn't unconditional. Topicality is about the plan takes in a vacuum. What our interpretation justifies. Competing interpretations is the best frame for evaluation because reasonability is arbitrary. And if there's any risk of our model of education is markedly better, then you vote affirmative. Extend our helping in 2000 evidence. QPQ is especially true in the case of the United States with people like Mexico. This evidence is overqualified. A couple of reasons. First is that it's field contextual. Our definition is contextual. The United States specifically means that their counter definitions don't apply. Having the most field contextual definition is best because it's the most predictable and it's a limited interpretation. And the B point is that experts in the field. Hell against a professor of public policy, which means that their definition comes from the most productive source for discussion. That means our definition is best for topic education, solves all their offense and prioritizing topic education over minute concerns of ground is best, breadth is inevitable, but ground isn't. And extend our Mastando 2003 evidence. Single action and directional policies are appeasement, not engagement. And this is the F. This card also makes a very small but important distinction. The A is that student critic definition critics define singular positive economic engagement as appeasement and not engagement. There's only a risk that appeasement links to the grounds they said. By allowing the affirmative to blur definitions, negotiation sets a functional limit on the topic when solves predictability on the live outline. We also know we are also winning that we also are winning that being both is something that explodes and over limits the topic. We have two specific sets here. One is that I can never know what's either real world outweighs the best policy outline, and the second is that it kills my solvency ground on the case flow. And the B point is that it is real world. Thus, that all policies go through negotiation. The affirmative interpretation has precedent that is anti-educational, and they say conditional and unconditional, but they reject broad definitions that include appeasement. Overgeneralizing undermines policy education, which is cross of our offensive resonate in one. Once a year's follows scholarly conceptualization of engagement is a few engagement of a synonym of appeasement and problem tendency to define the concepts too broadly, and most of the analysts and policymakers highly generated topic alternative options in relevant negative action, reasonable interpretation of a similar menu, and the positive action. The similarly engagement, positive sanction results in lumping together a variety of distributions of actions that could generalize the distinguish of them and comparing the separate policies. And predictable limits are key to class, which allow only for an eternally to advocacy skills, which outweighs all the predictability claims. If we have to go into round and not know definitely what the affirmative could say, and they've destroyed our ability to have a discussion about the topic. And the predictable limits are key to a balanced topic research, which is our only internally to topic specification, solves all of their offense as to why they need to learn about places like Mexico. If we win that they make it harder and less feasible for us to research topic, then we win that argument. And you vote negative. A is that they make it harder for smaller programs to do policy debate because they simply don't have the structural capability to research the topic at the same level or bigger problems, such as places like Greenhill. And the B point is they encourage generics that we don't have time to research every affirmative to a specific level. If we win that the affirmative is also appeasement, then it doesn't matter if they might also be engagement, but they blur the line, which explodes the topic at least 200%. And They say that it can be either, and Mexico would say yes, but Mexico would say no. Laundry list of other focuses, specifically 5 is key in 11613. Nieto announced a reform agenda with specific proposals on the 5 pillars: reducing violence, combating poverty, and boosting economic growth, and reforming education, fostering social instability, and someone increasing leaders from conservative the panel, left for PRD, and national printing Veneto, pack in Mexico containing legislative proposals advancing the reform agenda. The Congress has already approved the educational reform bill at only 30 measures based on back and Nieto identifying short-term priorities. Analysts predict the cooperative restraints of the protection of implementing the Nieto's agenda in the PAN and the PRD particularly agree on these structural reforms. And they say over limiting, but harder debate is better debate. If we win that, we make research for you harder, then you should vote no, especially since you're Greenhill. And breadth is inevitable, depth isn't. Encouraging a bigger topic is bad. First is that it's structural bias. The affirmative will only get to team that never experienced the in-depth research, and the negative will always lose when they never had any evidence to debating the case. And encourages generic. This kills topic education because it hurts advocacy, because having a debate over and over again stifles creativity. And this isn't the question of a smaller, more education debate versus bigger versus fair debate. This is a question of debate versus no debate. If there's ever equitable ground, then you vote negative. And this isn't a question of the smaller, less educational debate versus broader debate. Educational. This is a question of debate, of inherently topical strategies. It means the novices quit activity. Someone would have to experience the debate. Cut the card that I was going to read there. And they say predictability, but current policy, but R comes first. We would probably say that our predictability outweighs because it's the key to all your topics, which is the only real world impact. And they say competing interpretation bad, but we say that encourages reasonability, which is terrible because it causes judge intervention. Also, because competing interpretation prevents from punishing people for being smart or doing their homework. Competing interpretation framework is key to showing half interpretation of our view. Compatibility is only chance for preventing abuse in the future. Second, it's least arbitrary, determining whether the affirmative interpretation resolution is superior gives a negative opportunity to answer their argument. Only standard replaces. Third, most logical and real world. Also, external world, they try to say substantial, but they don't have a warrant for the argument. And also, all of our warrants about QPQ, checking that the literature base, check this argument. They say that it doesn't exclude that. We don't try to do something, but we try to have real world education. They say solve education. We've already solved that. And they say predictability. Your app isn't predictable because you aren't conditional. And I already answered all the competing interpretation claims. Also, if there is a net beneficial risk that's for some reason they are not topical or degrade our education, it's the only impact in the round. They prove this in the 2AC whenever they make a bunch of education claims. The interpretations are good.
They said Mexico said yes, and you read Mexico says no. What the fuck is that T argument? It said Mexico can say yes or no. And you say Mexico says no. How is that a T argument? Because it's proof it's not conditional. What? Because it's proof it's not conditional. If you say that Mexico can say yes, it's a question of your plain text. It's a question of when you see offering conditional. It doesn't matter. Mexico says yes or no. I mean, the argument's like a soft argument. Yeah. Like, it's fine that you made it. Here's a couple of reasons I did it first. It's because I don't think they're going to front line. Two, we go front. Yeah, it's an eject. Yeah, it's an eject button. That's just silly. But true. Do you mean to do this for you? I mean, you have it right there. It's fine. Okay. Just right now on the card here. Yeah. If we go for it, I'll just give you the block. Mm-hmm. Well, they think it's a question of if you like to yourself. That's the point.
He took out the analytics. You got him. You got him.